Welcome to One Interview, One World. This is Lainey Kay, and this is a show about interviewing people from all walks of life because everyone has a story to share and we can all learn from each other. I hope you enjoy listening. Well, today I'm with Paula D'Andrea. She is a powerhouse of resolution and results, equipped with an incredible wealth of experience, knowledge, and intuitiveness. Her transformations provide the most energy, focus, and momentum possible. Paula brings 20 plus years of expertise and 2 six-figure businesses in personal development to the table, including fitness and high-level mentoring. As an intuitive business consultant, she meticulously identifies and removes blocks for conscious capital CEOs and high-impact entrepreneurs who want to achieve transformational objectives for themselves and their businesses with diligence, speed, discretion, and integrity. Paula's expertise has been featured on and in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, KNBC, KTLA, and Telemundo, and she is a contributing author in 2 Amazon International bestsellers. She speaks and teaches her signature program, True North Method, globally. You can find her course, Reset plus Manifest, exclusively on Awoken TV. So thank you, Paula, so much for being with me today and for the audience to learn more about you, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you too, Lainey. I love what you're doing. I love your energy. You know, the whole vibe that you've created for your show, and especially the name of it. It's spectacular. I wish you a lot of luck with everything that you're doing, and want to see you get super, super big. I think you're onto something here. So thank you for having me. One interview, one world. I'm very, very fortunate to be here. Thank you.
That was very kind. I appreciate that. Yeah, my goal for the podcast is to enlighten people and teach people and people to realize that we are one world and that we need to work together to make our world a better place. So that's always my motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well,
Paula,
that's a great motivation.
Give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Where do we begin? You know, I've got so many experiences in life, and I think that's the biggest one of the biggest things that I have to share, because I've walked many areas in life. Primarily, my career has been oriented for the past 15 plus years, close to 20, in the fitness and wellness arena. Prior to that, I was in a business. I started off doing the corporate thing. Mm-hmm. I actually have a BSBA and worked in a company, tech, not specifically tech, actually programming. Mm-hmm. And did that. And I found one of the things that I really enjoyed more than sitting behind the desk and programming, which kind of fed my strategy mind, but also getting out and doing customer support with people that were in my company. And I come from a background of customer service. My family owned a pharmacy in Providence, Rhode Island. And, we were one of the parts of the community that provided great service to my community. I actually would go, all around the neighborhood and, bringing people that couldn't get out, which is kind of similar right now. I'm kind of doing the same thing with friends and so forth, of people that can't get out right now, but grew up doing that too, delivering medicine, which is kind of like, as I say that, it's kind of what I do, is deliver medicine. And it's, sometimes the truth that people do not always want to hear, but I try to cultivate it and deliver it in a way that is, they get it and they're willing to take their medicine that is going to help them go further and be on another side of a healed version of themselves, of whatever it is that they're challenged by.
Okay. Well, I know that you said you did fitness, so can you touch on that a little bit?
Sure. I had a beautiful fitness career here in Los Angeles. I actually started in back east, growing up in Rhode Island, and when I left the corporate job, I was like, okay, now what? It just wasn't my environment. It wasn't something that was comfortable for me, and this was, before people did this kind of thing, and and I just started. I had free time, and to keep myself busy and to just kind of like take care of myself, I I started working out, and I had joined while I was putting myself through night school. Back up a little bit, I put myself through night school to get that BSBA, to get out there and get a job, and was very determined to to do that. And it just wasn't the thing. But I worked in the post office during the last 18 months or so of putting myself through school. And in my complex, there was a gym. And I happened to go walking out lunch one day, and I went in and went downstairs. It was like, and discovered a whole new world. And that world became my little sanctuary of when I made my transition of getting up at 4:30 in the morning to be in my station at 5 a.m. and work until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then travel another hour to get up to school and be in school until 11 p.m. So that was my transition time, that me time of really taking care of myself. And as I started lifting and, doing all of that, it was very meditative because, and people think, that sounds, oh, when they think lifting and, and all this effort and things like that. But it actually is you get the rhythm of your body, which is extremely important, which is a large part of what I do, is getting people to listen to their body. And getting one with yourself, to focus, to, like, when you do have a heavy lift, of bringing yourself inward, of gathering all of your strength. And this is also metaphorical for the mind as well, but it's the body, of really getting that in your body and taking care of yourself at that level, and being one with yourself. And it was just such a rewarding experience. And then I went on and I went to another gym, and I was working out there, and was trained and was doing by, like, really transformed myself. I don't know if I have a picture at the ready, but I'll send you one. But
Okay.
was really buff. And, like, people started coming up to me and saying, hey, would you help me? And I was like, oh, okay. And so then I went and educated myself and got certified and all that kind of stuff, and had a little bit of it under my belt, and came to Los Angeles literally for a week with a gym bag, small bag, and like that. And then was, oh, I'm having a good time, I'll stay another week. And then right after that, I was like, well, I wonder what it would be like to live here. And so then I was like, well, I'll stay, the summer. And I did. And, 20 years later, here I am, still summering in Los Angeles. And, I went knocking on the doors of some of the biggest fitness facilities. I was like, oh, do you have a headshot? Where's your reel? And I was like, what the heck is that? What are they talking about? And then soon after that, I fell into acting. I earned my SAG. I did some things that were fitness related, and some other minor parts and things like that. So it just started off into that. But I had a beautiful boutique clientele, wonderful, industry executives and things of that nature, prominent people in the Los Angeles community, and so forth. And it was really a blast. It was the best trainers in Los Angeles. We worked in private gyms before anybody knew what private gyms were. It was just and also it was like in some of the other larger gyms as well too. And it was really just a rock and roll time, and a lot of fun. And I learned a lot. In the process of that happening, right down the street, I also got hit by a van, and that changed my world tremendously. And I had to find out to be more resourceful, about how to take care of my body, and in so doing, helped, then whatever I learned would carry it on. So I did general fitness, I did integrative fitness, I did mobility, which became my go-to towards the end of my career, which is a little bit different than stretching. It's actually is moving through your tissue to activate your lymphatic system, and letting go of a lot of the issues in the tissues, so to speak. And so what was happening is that while I was doing this physically, I was also starting my journey of working energetically as well. So I was doing things like Reiki. I was moving people, doing a different form of beyond stretching, of doing mobility work, of moving through the joints and tissue and so forth. And it was then opened a door for something different. And in one of my surgeries that I had for my accident, I've had multiple surgeries, and I got a staph infection. And it was really up there. I almost lost my life, almost lost my leg. My temperature was super, super high. Yeah, so it was very scary, similar to what is going on right now. So there's a lot of experiences that, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, Lainey, about that I've already had that are now happening again. So if I can, step in and help, assure people in a different way, I know a lot. Just with all this, we could talk for days of the different ins and outs. I did, after one of my first surgeries, I then got back on my feet and, was determined went back to Reebok and did training with them, and was doing with Stop Pilates and Pilates. I became a spin instructor, all of these different things, until eventually then I had to have another surgery, and then that changed things again. And each time, the thing of it is that, you're in a lot of pain. You do get older, things change within your body. So each time that you have that done, it's a whole different process. And I think the thing, that's a whole nother scope of an area that I work with is pain. It pulls your energy. So it's like, how do you be in that? I do hypnotherapy, I do NLP, I do all of these different things with the knowledge of the body, with what I've already been through. I'm lucky to be standing, and I'm lucky to be sitting here in front of you right now. So these are things that I offer to people to get into and work with. So I then went on to study conscious anatomy. So I have medical intuitive under my belt. And so it's really listening to the body, finding what pathways are blocked, what's the associated emotion to the event that happened that caused the pain, and getting to those root issues and letting go. And it's amazing how your body responds. And when your body begins to respond, your mind starts to begin to respond. So there's a whole cycle that I've learned of having gone through it myself, and also studying it. And I think that's the difference between, not to take away from anybody, there's brilliant people out there who are, academic, and they read and they've studied, and doctors and things like that. But there's a little bit different, something different that you bring when you've actually gone through it yourself. So not only do you have the practical experience, you also have the applied as well. And that's what I feel is my forte of, bringing some things to to people. And, there's a level of empathy that is present. And I've been with enough doctors, and they did not have bedside manner. And it was, I've had them yelling at me, and it's just really, really bad behavior, actually, for people who take an oath of, how to present themselves and so forth. And, I listen to that, and I say, let me give a different approach to people and share that with them, so that it makes what they're going through, the struggle, the challenge that they have right now, because it's heavy duty. When you have physical pain, that overrides everything that you don't have clarity. There may be, other factors involved, depression. You're on medication. Medication, I didn't realize how much it was affecting me. I had one surgery at the time that I got the staph infection. I had been on a pain medication that they kept on, having me take, and it wasn't really doing anything for my pain, and it was making me, my You know, we talk about side effects from different things, like, you know, affecting my mood and, you know, irritability, my organs, you know, everything, you know, could, you know, that gets affected, your sleep, your bowel movements, your digestion, all of these type of things that get affected by their saying, you know, do this for this, which it wasn't really helping anyways. And then it was, you know, messing with my body. So I think also to be timely with what this period is right now with the COVID, I cannot, you know, my biggest urge for people is go whole as much as possible. You know, whole foods, you know, less sugar. That was the biggest thing that I've learned, is reducing sugar just increases the inflammation. It affects your stress levels, which is another, stress is a huge area that I work in, mental stress, emotional stress, and physical stress. And they're all a little bit different, but one feeds the other. And when you get a nutritional path that is, you know, really nourishing your body, the key is this: give your body less work to do. When you give your body less work to do, it will work for you in a way that you know, couldn't even imagine. It will help you sleep better. It will help keep you calmer. It will, you know, you can start working through pain that you've had. You can alleviate a lot of stress and pain, and basically pain and is stress. And I think that, you know, and that also comes with the tissue mobility and so forth, of really getting in and going, okay, getting those issues in the tissues, what are they? And the more that I start to get through those layers, the more freedom that you have within your body. When people talk about, you know, and they say, what are you doing, whatever, you know, we talk about the ultimate freedom. The ultimate freedom is being able to live head to toe.
I like that.
Right? Of, you know, being in a body that is less stressed. So whatever way that your body is being stressed, whether it be that, you know, it's again from an injury, an illness, an event, a trauma in some way that may have been emotional, but now has settled in the body. And this is the thing of this is the, you know, that fine line. It's kind of like, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And people always have this thing. Listen here, everybody goes after, and especially, you know, NLP has now become a big buzzword and so forth, of, you know, the subconscious mind. Your body is the subconscious, and that's a bigger subconscious mind, has a mind of its own. It has a recognition. You know, we're hearing things now that are coming up about, you know, food, what's in the food, what's in your DNA, how you know, we look at, I spoke how I grew up. I grew up in where my family had their pharmacy. It was an Italian community at that time. I'm Italian American, in case you didn't guess, you know, but it really is that, you know, there were certain things, you know, traditions that were put forth to me, you know, more Sunday dinner, you know, it was the whole, you know, that whole thing, Goodfella, you know, it was like the long table. We had, you know, 20 people at the table, my family, my grandparents, you know, aunts, uncles, whoever it was that came. And it was like a 5-course meal, you know, you had, you know, something, you had bread, you had the pasta, you had the, you know, the soup, you had, you know, not just the turkey, but you had turkey and roast beef, you know, it was a gathering. It was coming together on Sunday. We had a family business. We did work, and I worked with my father. Since I'm 8 years old, I've been working. And people go, oh, you know, I was very mature, you know, more grown up in ways that most people are at that age. But it was actually a soda fountain, and I worked the register. I was making, for anybody that's East Coast, coffee cabinets and nabs. That was like the number one lunch for people. And, you know, and speaking with adults, you know, and providing service to my community, and doing all of these things, and taking great pride in what we were there and servicing for people. And then also the biggest thing for me was that when people would come in, especially towards the beginning of the month, and they would bring a bag, I wish I had, you know, and put it down on the counter and say, tell your dad I'll be back for those later. And what was in that bag was, you know, 10, 15 bottles of prescriptions to be filled. And I said, I did not want that. And when I did, I'm just naturally, I'm Sagittarius. My birthday is tomorrow, and big time Sag, and physical. And so I enjoyed just going out and playing. So when I was not working, that's what I ran. I, grew up. I played softball. All the things, recreation. I hung out with the guys in the neighborhood. It was a different time. We were playing tag. We were basketball, shooting baskets, like whatever, jumping off the roof. Doing all sorts of stuff. Climbing we had an area called the cliffs. And now it's probably like so small. But when you're that age,
yeah.
Look at it, it's like this big monumental thing, but we were doing adventurous type of things and crazy stuff too, riding bikes, all of that kind of thing that you did, and that was very physical, and it fed my body because that feels natural for me.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest compliments that I would get from people, especially when I was doing fitness training, is people who were not physical, who are not used to, maybe had, extra weight to lose or whatever, would say to me, thank you so much for making it easy for me to come in the door. For me, it was a very natural environment. It was just a big playground. When I went in the gym, and you knew people, and there, we had a lot of celebrities, and just everybody was who they were. And it was just one-on-one. There was no, Hollywood. I mean, like, big people that were in here. And just, hey, how's it going, and whatever, and you can talk and exchange and whatever, and everybody was just in the playground, and you could see how people were when they were younger, and that's what it was going for me. But for other people, it was not that comfortable. It was very daunting to come in. And when I really brought home for me the first time when I got post-surgery, my first surgery, right after my accident happened, the person who hit me was uninsured. So I had the help of many of my trainers, all came in, giving referrals, doctors and stuff. I had to have things done on a lien. And they were and that was it. And then I didn't even have, I didn't have health insurance at that time. And I got a protocol and said, here you go. And so I got the help of my fellow trainers, the knowledge that I had to follow and to do. And I was pretty much on my own. And the first time that I laid down on a prone leg curl to do, I don't know if you know what that is, working your hamstrings. And I laid down to do that, and what it was to try to bend my knee and pull the weight up, it was just not. And that was really, I was like, I got a really, really deeper understanding of people who just did not like exercise, who were not comfortable with their body, were not like all of that. It was like, this is what it's like. This is how hard it is for them. And I have always my training clients, my fitness people, my coaching clients, my leadership people that high-end executives, whatever, I have the absolute utmost respect for them. It's just a courageous thing for anybody that steps into a transformation arena. And especially if you're high level and you're struggling with something, I've had people, multi-million-dollar companies, who, no problem, they come in, they're, like this, but they can't, they can't control what they're eating, what their weight is, this, so that, and then they come in that back door, and it's just like, because they're so high profile, and then they come in, like, I can't get this one aspect of my life, but I can go in and I can, lead my company and my people and make millions of dollars, whatever, but I cannot get this. That's a very humbling thing for somebody to admit that. It's very courageous. A lot of respect for all of my clients, always, to be able to allow themselves to come in like that. And I do my best to provide the safest container for them to just, let it go, and let's find out what's underneath that. And so that you bring another aspect of yourself now to the table. You already got this going on. Imagine when you get this piece and you bring this, and they come together, and you get out there and you do what you do. Beautiful.
All right, thank you. I do have a question if you want to go into more detail about the tissues and the mobility issues, or what that is and how does that work?
Sure, sure. One of the things that, and that's thank you very much for the question, Laney. The biggest thing now is in the thing for people to recognize is that your body is made up of systems. I think we all kind of know that song, Dem Bones, Dem Bones. I mean, I don't even know what the name of it is, but truly, like, the hip bone's connected to the leg bone, like that whole thing. And that's true. So there's your anatomy. So there's one piece of the puzzle. So there's your muscular system. Then you have your skeletal system. You have your respiratory system. You have your integumentary system, skin and everything like that. So there's all these different systems that we're made of. And when one gets compromised, something else is going to try to take the place. So when I said earlier, give your body less work to do, that's what I was alluding to, is recognize that you have all of these systems that have come together like in this amazing machine, and when people talk about, like, look at yourself as a Maserati or a Lamborghini or, love that Italian, there were some of the finest machines made, Leonardo da Vinci, all of his drawings that he came up and studied all these things. You are truly, truly, truly amazing. First of all, take that in, accept it, know it, believe it, own it. So that when you take care of yourself, you know that you find a good nutritional path for you, not what I'm doing. You're going to go by what's you, right? Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I didn't like the smell of something. I wasn't going to eat it. There was no way. I was a kid sitting at the table at 11 o'clock at night because I wouldn't eat my dinner. I don't know if people still do that, but sort of, isn't that? And I had to learn how to do it. What do I do? How do I get my vegetables in now? I do a smoothie and I do soups.
Okay.
That's what works for me.
Right.
I'm like a 6-year-old, but you know what? I get it in because I know it's important. It's sweet. And not only that, it's what I want to get. Think of this too. One of the questions that I ask my clients when we start and we're going through our intake and, first VIP sessions and all that stuff, getting deep and finding out what is in it. And I say, what do you want to give yourself? Not what you think you need, not what everybody's telling you that you have to do. What do you want to give yourself? What is your definition of health?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And then that does, because my definition of health is going to be different than yours. And you know what? I know what I know. I'm the deep diver. I've experienced things. I do the research. I've done all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm just here to be open for you to land and go, okay, what's important to me? And I can guide you. I'm a guide and navigate, right? Mm-hmm. My program, True North Method, doesn't get much more exemplary than that. I'm the navigator. I'm at the helm. And I'm like, okay, here, try this. And also the ultimate cross trainer, this doesn't work, we'll do this. Oh, you don't like weights? Well, let's play catch. Get a weighted ball. Let's do that. Also, a great little tip here. Instead of keep clenching things, and which we're doing it on the phones all the time, get weighted balls and play with that. Open your hands. You can get them, even Marshalls, TJ Maxx, they sell fitness stuff now. And it's I should have my stuff is like over in the corner over there. But you just open your hands up, even a can of soup, of water, something that is weighted 1-2 pounds, and just hold it in your hands, hold your hands open, let your hands open back up again. Because then, so this is, we want to talk about issues in the tissues. People get a cut, they get they drop something. We associate that with what can you handle, right? Because when you think about it, that's what you're doing. You're picking stuff up, right? And simple example of, letting go.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, and it seems a lot easier. But as you start to get through that, so each body part has something. We think of the eyes. The eyes are connection to the world, your nervous system. And that's where a lot of things stem from. That's where your emotion is all here, feeding up and through there. So imagine is that you have down your spine, you've got all your nerves connected, and they're coming out through for your digits. They're coming, through your neck. They're coming into your feet and all of that. And there's somewhere that is blocked. We want to find out the issue in the tissue. Where is the block? What is the block? How do we open it up? How do we release it? How do we let it come out as delicately as possible? Notice this, people that have deeper rooted trauma, I tell you, when that stuff comes up, and I've gone through it, it is not pleasant. You want a guide. I've had to do on my own, and you know, I'm equipped with what I have, but it is, you want somebody to guide you through as you're going through that process. As things start coming up and you start releasing, don't do it at home. That's it. You know, get somebody that has some experience to be able to help guide you through that, because it's rough. And there's other people who don't have as much, you know, they haven't had, you know, they haven't been hit by a van, or they haven't had, you know, some earlier childhood kind of thing, but they have stress. Their job is stressful. Their family is stressful. They're like, whatever it is that they're doing is there. So you go with, you know, you're meeting people where they are, you know, and seeing like, what's the spectrum. So is it like really serious, or is it kind of here, or even here, you know, maybe a little bit more surfacey. So think of it like this too, that if you have, you know, an ache and a pain, and you're going, oh, I wish I got a massage. I see you moving through your shoulders right now. And we'll talk about that in a second, because that's exactly what you want to do, is you want to move through. So people go, I have this pain right here and whatever, and they think it's where they're experiencing it. That's not the source. That could be the source, but it's not the origin of actually what it is. So when I'm working with somebody, we're going for original source. Where is that? So you have sometimes people go, oh, I just need a massage. And they have somebody, you know, they know, hey, can you, and they press really deeply in. It's the worst thing that can happen because the area is already traumatized. What you want to do is kind of like, it's a Rolfing effect. When I had my staph infection, the medication that they gave me wiped out everything, good and bad.
Right.
So I was just sick. I was like, I had the flu. After going through all of that, then I felt like I had the flu for like a few weeks, I had no energy. I couldn't even lift my leg. My home therapy people would come and they go, lift your, and I can't, I had no energy to do anything. And it took a while to then get it back. On top of that, with everything that I had, I was bloated beyond. I was like, you know, like 3 sizes bigger than I am right now. My skin was blotchy, it was red, it was dry, like unbelievably dehydrated. So if you went like this to me, Lainey, I would be like, oh, it was excruciating, because there was and it was there. So I found someone who did, it was called the St. John's method. And that was my first introduction to tissue mobility. And it was a combination of going in and doing a little bit of acupressure and a roll. So you're just going in and you're manually just going through. And this is how I tell people do self-massage. It's amazing. You know, and as I started going into this, would use a roller. Christmas one year, all of my clients, they got rollers and yoga straps. And I taught them how to go in and start doing the mobility. So give you an example of how you can really, really understand this. This is on my list to like really get into Houdini and discover who he was and how he came up with this. And I'm gonna get to that. But if you think about his favorite trick of, like, you know, he was in that straitjacket and then got in the water. 2 things. If you've ever had one of your favorite sweaters or blouses or shirt, pants, or whatever, and you washed it in the wrong temperature, it says to only wash cold water, and you put it in hot water, notice how you like lost the shape of it. It never came back. You like spent money on it, good money, and you're like, you know, because it did it, and that happens. So keep that in mind about how that works. And then also about force. We're like this. This is the resistance that we have. And when you come in and decide to bring it together and find that harmony within and work through those issues in the tissues, it's what we did. Instead of coming straight through it, we then work through it. We create a harmony within the body. So this is the Houdini. What he was doing in the water, if you see him and you see people who have copied his trick, I don't, you know, David Blaine maybe, or somebody like that, you know, and what he was doing was he was wiggling. and he was going side to side, and that's mobility. And that was one of the when I teach people how to do it, that's part of it. We use the, you know, the joint. We start at the top of the chain, we get a leverage, and we work through it. And it's a very tiny movement that then starts to work through that tissue and open it up. Many people are taught when they're stretching, it's a like this and that. You could do that, but if my arm is out like this, and then you could do it right now and just start a very, very small rotation from the shoulder. So hold your arm so that you have it stabilized. You have, or you could put it on your desk and just relax it, and just very small, and immediately you'll start to feel it actually starts to open up quicker. So that is what you want to do, is you want to work through it. So what happens when you do that is a couple of things. One is you're activating your lymphatic system, which will not move on its own. Your heart pumps gallons of blood every day. I mean, it's amazing what your heart does. And then we have a whole nother thing around the heart, which is where many people, one of the biggest emotions that I find people have trapped, sadness. So many people are grieving things that they never thought, and people think grieving, they think they lose somebody and whatever. No, there's many losses that you have during your life that you never really allowed yourself to let go. So when we think of the let go and open that up, it restores energy. You're bringing yourself back to life, okay? And part of the process of getting those issues in the tissues of allowing yourself, of restoring your life force, your lymphatic system, moving all of the crap out, right? Literally, figuratively, blood, oxygen, scar tissue, whatever it is that's trapped. And then what happens if I'm getting rid of it, right? I'm letting go. It allows me to receive, to bring in new energy, new food. When you're eating better food, no sugar, so you're not getting back the inflammation again. You're eating a whole food that has vitamins, minerals, you know, that are going to nourish your system. Then you start to, you feel better. Not only have I reduced my inflammation, I'm now like giving myself a new source of energy. Mm-hmm. So this is what it's about. Some people do it in a supplement. Take vitamins. Don't over medicate yourself. Really, 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 the key is in what you can eat. And I tell you, we're blessed here in California, especially in Los Angeles. Now I'm not sure what's open right now, but with the farmers markets that we have, that I will go and I will buy, 3 big bunches of greens for $5. That will feed me for weeks. That stays fresh for me. If I, package it properly, stays fresh for me for weeks. Like, that's bounty, that's abundance. Yeah. So I'm also a manifester. So start thinking about that in terms too. When you take care of yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, you will be taken care of. Start to know that, trust it. The thing is in knowing what you want. And that's what I help people get in. We get through all the crap. What is it really that is meant for you? And there is a little bit behind that. And then I activate them, and, they go on and they open up and have amazing things that happen. But going back into the issues in the tissues of allowing yourself to work through, to release all of that, activating your lymphatic system. When you activate your lymphatic system, you start getting rid of that, guess what happens too? You bring yourself back to life. You're increasing your metabolism. So people who are looking for, weight loss, all of these buzzwords that are out there. Yeah. It's not about, only exercise. It's really about what you, again, decide to give to yourself. How do you want to bring yourself back to life? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to give up, your gummies, your Doritos? I have one of my favorite clients, one of my favorite people, Nancy, amazing leader, the most peaceful, big. She was here in Los Angeles, the Chamber of Commerce. She's now up at Humboldt University. She's a leader of leaders. Her compassion, her knowledge, everything that she brings to the table is like amazing. And, you know, when you allow yourself to go, okay, what am I going to give myself so that I can allow myself to release and receive? And that is where you're going to start, is you got to get into that place. So many people give and give and give and give, is that, and I have a tendency to work with a lot of people who are in that mode of that, they don't know how to receive. They haven't flexed that muscle yet. And so these are all, you know, vibration. I say that when I gave up my training and went into coaching, is that I stopped counting reps and started counting vibrations. Food is vibrational. What you put in your body is vibrational. Where you choose to source it from. People say, oh, organic, it's too expensive. It's really not. In comparison to see where I see people spend their money, going to get coffee once or twice a day, that $10 or more that they've spent on that, they could easily get 5 vegetables.
I agree.
I just did it yesterday. I got a whole organic chicken 3-pack, and I got orange juice, and I got 7 different vegetables, including a whole cabbage, organic, for $25.
Yeah.
Time,
right.
And it was at a brand market that everybody says is like too expensive. You got to know how to shop. You got to know what you're looking for, and you got to know what you want. But when you're eating processed food and you want to eat fast food, and you've spent the same amount of money as I have, but I've got quality food and I've got whole food, you know, reversing the aging process. I feel better and better, even with the injuries that I have, all with the pre-existing stuff. If you know, I'm working with what's the possibility for me, what's my potential, not what my limitation is. And so that's the flip of like, when you say, what do I want to give to myself? Potential and possibility. Do I want to stay in the levels of pain? Not to say that I don't have pain. It still is something there. Like there's certain things that I have that, you know, it's going to be there, but I lessen it because it's not getting my focus. My objective is to refocus and to shift my focus and keep myself into the reset zone of that is going to work, that is going to help me more. And that's the whole thing. So it's defining in through that old stuff too. When we say issues in the tissues, it could be like really old stuff. But I tell you what, it keeps on trying to get your attention. When you have minor things, when you're like, you know, subconsciously, or certain things come and the holidays are a great time to start pushing your buttons about things coming up, memories that you had with your family and things like that. And all of a sudden you drop something. And it's like, because it's getting your attention. It's like, okay, that's what's to hone in on. The story that I have around what happened and this and that and everything like that, it's no longer valid. It served the purpose at that time, especially when you're younger. When you're younger, you're not an adult. You have things that are pushed on you that are like, you can't comprehend, but you're still having that filter. That's the thing. And that's a, you know, gray area, and something that I dive into with people. What is the association, you know? So if I say, well, you know, perfect example, here's the dirty trick about getting about aging. And the only downside that I found so far is this. What you can read of it, and it happens overnight. One morning you just wake up and you go to, you know, when I don't have my glasses on, I get up in the morning and look at my phone and I'm like, you know, and it just happened like that. So, you know, I do the pinhole glasses to help improve my vision. But like outside of that, so what is it that brings things into focus for you? Is it to come more into the light? Is it to hold something further away or bring it closer? Those are NLP type of things. And I was talking about Nancy earlier. We did it's an NLP technique.
What is, wait, because I hear you saying the acronym.
Oh, NLP? Yeah, neuro-linguistic programming. And for anybody that knows, it's been around for a long time. Tony Robbins is probably like the most known person that brings it up. I did Tony Robbins when I first moved to California. I wanted to experience him. Also to give you a little preemptive, I did timeshare sales. before I did my fitness stuff. It was like one of those, I was in between things and I had all these, odd jobs. I worked for the League of Conservation Voters in Rhode Island. And I would literally go door to door, raising money, trying to get $5, $10, $25, $100 for people to support in Rhode Island, the environment, and a politician. Talk about a hard job. Literally knocking on doors, going around my state to do that. And I was just prior to my moving here. Amazing experience. So there's that. And then from that, I met somebody who said, oh yeah, I got this whatever. And I did timeshare sales, another, emotional kind of sale and things. So I've done some of those things, but in the process, I had a wonderful manager who did that, who introduced me to Earl Nightingale, to, Zig Ziglar, and I started listening to all those motivational techniques, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. When I was a kid, I was thinking these things and I would shut it down because I'd be like, I wasn't hearing it from my parents. I wasn't hearing it in my school and whatever. And I was just like, nobody wants to hear it. I'm too much in front of people. So like my teachers were like, shut up. It was like, I'm the adult, whatever. But I was be the person that stood up and said, yeah, that's not quite right. And I would say something, and they always wanted to shut it down. I went through my 8th grade period, my lunch period. I was within 15 minutes outside the classroom. I got kicked out every single day. But good thing I was good friends with the vice principal and the gym instructor. They saved me. So this is my kind of like, I did things in a very rebellious way when I was younger, but I've grown into the wisdom, and now I trust the wisdom that I have. It's Kajak Records. It is, old earth. It's very old, and we all have to trust that right now. Get out of your ego. Drop the sword, whatever it is that you're defending, drop that out and pick up a torch, light the way for yourself and for other people. That is the message within here. So as we go through and we grow into, all these different areas of ourselves, that is fit. That is freedom, integration, and transformation. The transformation happens like that for you. It's once you do it, especially with something with NLP or, hypnotherapy, you will change like that. So that's one technique in NLP is like that, bring it close. How are you seeing things? How is your subconscious taking something in? And that's where we work. So what we do with Nancy is we did, what is the food that you really like? If I was not going to do this, I would be, a little bit further ahead. It was Cool Ranch Doritos. And I said, are you sure that you want to let that go and whatever? And literally in 2 minutes, that food gone. And that's how I do it. I have helped my body with allergies. Deathly allergic to pine nuts. Went into anaphylactic shock. It was not a pleasant experience. God bless you people who have kids with peanut allergies and stuff. My hat's off to you. There are techniques you do. They say allergies are an emotional response within your body. And I have a long list of things that I grew up when I was a kid, going into, even with my, first of all, I was born with hip dysplasia. My hips out of the sockets, they had to force them in. And wear the bracing, you get the casting, all this kind of thing to set it right. I still have at the base of my spine, I don't have a gap. So when you're L4, L5, where you come up, you have your cervical area, you have your thoracic, and then you come down into your lumbar region. So in your lumbar region, you're like, it goes like this, like a curve. And then at the bottom, you have where your sit bones are coming in and into your pelvic region, and you're like this, and then you have a gap in between. I have no gap. I just have they're like the saving grace for me is that it's symmetrical. So far as this is a long time ago, I'm going to guess that they're still a little bit symmetrical. So that means they're the same size. They're pretty even in how they are, but I don't have that gap. So for me to stay lean, for me to be able to a lot of way I alleviate my pain is through posture, believe it or not. And that is also, you hear a lot of people say they have back pain, the hamstrings, all this kind of stuff. It's pain caused by excessive weight, trapped energy, issues in the tissues, something that has out of misalignment because of bad posture, poor posture. Believe me, when you get into alignment, so this is talking a deeper level of where I help people get into alignment spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally. This is the whole shebang. And when you physically bring yourself into alignment, you're able to use your core to get around that. What I practice, and I do get on my floor every night, and I do certain things that help me, strengthen my core and give me a little bit more space. And so that when I get up, I can, bring my whole body up because I've engaged my core. And when I can move from that place and I'm relying on my muscles to do the work for me, I don't have to go into the joint where my pain has all the issues.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So it's a really, and also too, with this respect to issues in the tissues, I have actually a talk that I do is fascia is fascinating. It is amazing. You're actually going to, when people were talking about earlier about, source of pain, I got this pain in my shoulder and whatever, the origin, believe it or not, could be in your foot.
Wow.
Or your calf, because you have bands of fascia that will actually start on the foot and travel up and then wrap around up through here. There's a lot of different layers of tissue. So when I was, speaking earlier too about, oh, that hurts and whatever, and somebody gets in and starts digging in, and the worst thing ever. So that's the top layer. It's kind of like the top layer of defense. And because it's closer to the skin, it's going to be, like, ooh, some of it in certain areas, it's tougher. And in certain areas, it's very sensitive, right? Your earlobes, you feel that. But, in my neck, it's a little bit tougher. I can feel my sternocleidomastoid, but the skin is different.
Yeah.
So notice that where your skin, your facial skin is different than your hands and your arms. So the sensitivity that comes through. And then of course, as you go deeper, closer to the nerves, more pain. And also too, the same way that your muscles will lengthen back out, your nerves, if they've been compressed and they get a release somewhere, people have like a pinched nerve, sciatica, all those kind of things. When you're able to get out of that, your nerve will then, come back up too. And it will then, have the same vibrancy as well too, where it's getting rid of all of the trapped energy and it allows to stretch back out again and starts to then feed, new nutrition, blood, oxygen, things of that nature. So it's a, I could talk about this for days, obviously, an area that's doing, and not only have I studied it, do I know it, but I've lived it. I've experienced the levels of pain, high physical pain, high emotional pain, with certain areas, but,
All right.
It's all associated.
Okay, I have a question. Would you like to share for people who are, because we are living with COVID, so what would you suggest to people who are, or just you're not feeling good, or if you end up getting COVID, like what do you recommend for people to do?
You know what? Well, first of all, consult your doctor. That would be number one. And, rest as much as you can, and up for everybody right now, just up your self-care. And if you have no idea how to do that, contact me. I'm going to be doing some more teaches, just like simple stuff, like people, the pampering, taking a hot bath. I take a hot bath. I was 6 o'clock this morning. I was in my bathtub, relaxing my body, meditating, getting my day started, relaxing my body, letting my, magnesium enter my body, releasing any stress, my candle lit. And the whole thing is like the biggest luxury. One of the most overlooked, simplest things that you could do is sit in your bathtub. Like even for 5 minutes. Yep, Epsom salt. Some people do apple cider vinegar. There's like all these different home remedies that people use. Yeah. So take care of that. But if you think that you have the COVID, definitely there's enough testing right now that has come out. You got to rest. If you do not have any other pre-existing things, diabetes, heart, things like that, if you're feeling kind of like, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving any, I've been through some of the symptoms early in the year and got hit pretty always, could not move for 10 days. And it was probably up, I would say, with my staph infection is how I felt. And that was pretty sick. So I don't know what it was. My doctor said, go to urgent care. Urgent care said, go to the hospital. Called, no, go. So I wrote out 4 temperature cycles. High temperature, which I had had before. It got me a little nervous because my knee was really hurting. I was like, oh, is there, I had one of the surgeons that after my last surgery in 2008, I went to get it looked at and whatever. He scared the living daylights out of me. He went off on, somebody should go to anger management, yelling at me. I was in tears in his office. If you think that staph is out of your body, it's not, and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Like, I was petrified. And when I was kind of feeling that a little bit, it was very unnerving to have that happen. But I let my temperature went up, and I just rested, and I did I have oils. I do oregano. I do, and this is doTERRA, so I can only speak to that because it's ingestible. I can ingest it, which I do. I can use it topically, and which I do. So any other oils, you'd have to really look in and see whether, how you can use it. So that's the number one. They also have a product called On Guard that I take on a regular basis. And it is a combination of different oils that help your immune system. Clove, wild orange, cinnamon, I think are some of the, there's, again, you can, look it up, Google it, see what the ingredients are, see if it works for you. If it makes sense for you, go for it. That's always my approach to everything. Here's the information, and that's what I do is I inform for people. I've got a wealth of information that is coming from this lifetime, other life, who knows where, things that I've experienced, things that I know, and I give you the information. Does it make sense for you? Let's find what makes sense for you, okay? And go from there. So I was able to ride out the temperature, got it again within 24 hours. And that happened to me about 4 times. And it was crazy. But I rested and just slept and just rode it through. And that was what worked for me. Now, other people, now you've got you can go get tested and find out what you have. You may be able to seek out treatment. Right now we're a little bit overloaded. So before even going in that, I really, really, really urge people right now, take as best care of yourself as possible. Reduce your sugar. And that means the hardcore, the sugar, the sodas, the obvious stuff, candy, all the baking, all of the stuff that people want to go to right now. Find out what's underneath. Why do you want to go to it? Now is your time. We're moving into an area now for the next 7 years. Systems are breaking down. You need to be able to be an advocate for yourself. You need to be able to self-lead. And that first beginning of self-lead is right here, head to toe. What's in it? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You've got to know intellectually. You need to know where you stand, what you have, why you have it, what you believe, why you believe it, what you value, what it is, what's in front of you. When I work with my clients, we get into the True North method. Opportunity comes up. Heart, are you in it? Mind, can you wrap yourself around it? Values, will you stand in front of me? Beliefs, will you carry me forward? If you can get into those checks and those areas, you got a vision board that has a picture of a beach. What is it? Bring it to life. Where is that beach? What are you doing when you get there? How do all your senses need to come alive. So when we talk about bringing yourself back to life,
Yeah.
And this COVID is the opposite of that. So pick a side, which way you want to go. Do you want to keep defending, or do you want to drop the sword and pick up a torch and be the light and be in the light? This is your decision right now. I'll help you as best I can. I have a Facebook group that I'm getting going, True North Method, True North Inspiration. And it's like really, really that, like now is like honing into that. So if you've got the COVID, my heart goes out to you. And, you know, whatever it is they're prescribing, whether it be rest, they have, you know, something that can help you through it, go for it. If you do not have it, get yourself, and this doesn't go just for this, but this is a thing now. This is not gonna, like, don't want to be alarming to people, but we've now experiencing things. I've kind of had a taste of this. Has been my life. I've been through, you know, this type of thing over and over and again through my life. So I've mastered it a little bit more, the terrain. I'm a little bit more rough and tumble, literally, of, you know, falling. And by the way, my accident, when I got hit by the van, I was on a motorcycle. So I'm very, very blessed to be sitting here with you right now. Had I not instinctually, and I grew up, you know, driving mini bikes. There was a guy street, and he would let all the neighborhood kids, we'd go, hey, Smitty, can we grab a bike? Yeah, go. It was in the woods and all this stuff. My own instinctual, my body is what helped me lay that down instead of getting straight up. If I got hit straight on, I would not be here. I woke up in the middle of the street. My helmet was across the street and the bike was down the street. So I know this, like, I know the back of my hand of that. I keep on studying this and honing in.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself. That is the biggest message. Whatever that means to you, step in as deep as you can to root yourself in yourself. Get a good posture, get a good stance on your life and what you believe in, what you want to give yourself, and how you want to live your life. Now is your time. That's what the biggest message of this COVID is right now.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
And I like to ask people, what do you feel humanity needs to work on to make our world a better place?
Peace is number one. That is my signature. Is peace. As you've heard me for the last hour or whatever, I've had a lot of disruption in my life, and we didn't even touch on. We only did a little fraction of it, but and so yeah, peace. Being at peace with yourself, and you have to. You know, I talked about, you know, like when I was talking about moving through the tissues, you know, Houdini and moving in through and stuff. Having harmony within your body, having harmony within your heart. Having harmony within is then promoting that sense of peace, that then as you go out into the world, that's what you bring. You walk through, you'll be able to step right through that chaos and just open up. You're like a beacon of light coming through. So if you have any inkling of this, that's striking a chord, that you've said yes, that you've nodded, you know, or just said, you know, yes to, or just a verbal yes, start listening to that. You got to start listening to your body. So if it's that, if you get like, you know, you feel something, you know, listen to that. That's your gut instinct talking to you and going, pay attention. You drop something in mid-sentence or whatever, an old thought or whatever, awareness, let go of that. That thought is no longer serving you. Step into the light. Own your peace and step into light. I'm not ashamed of anything that's ever happened to me. I'm not regretful. I'm not, there's nothing. I mean, I've lost half my family. You know, I don't like I've learned so much from that. I would love to, you know, I'll share this with you. I lost my sister in the Station nightclub fire in 2003. So that was when I talked about the emotional, most devastating thing that happened to me. Severe depression, survivor guilt, post-traumatic stress, all at the same time. My decision was to focus on becoming a better person. I own that now. My wanting her here physically was my ego. She is on the parallel. She's on the other side, and she is there. And my wanting that, you know, being able to, you know, pick up the phone every Saturday and talk to her is the ego of wanting that. Once I got through that and understood that, my life has now opened up. My heart is opened back up. My vitality is opened back up. My how I lend myself to other people has opened back up. She's in a place that is serving her better. I'm in a place that's serving me as well too.
Yeah.
So that is me getting at peace in doing that. You know, I get a little bit of a temper. I still get my ego flares up and stuff, and I get pissed off. And but I'll allow myself to go through that. That's the other biggest thing too. You're getting like rant, say it, don't hold it in, but don't go out in public and do it because things are crazy. People that are like, you know, you can't be, you know, flipping people off in traffic. You can't be honking your horn and stuff like that. Stand in your bathroom, sit in your car and yell and get it out of your system. I always say that to my clients is like, if there's something, emotion that you're feeling, you know, people walk out on you, they hang up the phone or something like that. You're in a heightened place or whatever. Let it go. Let it rip. You know, be the 2-year-old, have the tantrum, get it out of your system. We talked about the body being made of systems. If you're holding that, that's the issues in the tissues. Mm-hmm. You didn't allow yourself to express what it was that you needed to express. Express it, you know, sing, bring joy in, you know, rock out, whatever it is, you know. I'm a big Steven Tyler fan, Aerosmith, grew up with that band, and I blast it and I dance and I do, you know, my chair dance, whatever it is I do, I sing in the bad tone that I have, and but I let it rip, and you gotta bring that joy in. You gotta have the release of what it is, of the pent up energy and stuff like that. This is pissing me off. I hate this. I don't want to wear a mask or whatever. Do it. Do your rant. Don't do it to somebody else. Just do it. Get it out. It's for you. Right. Get it out of your system, and then come back and go, oh, that felt better.
Yeah.
Really, it does. When you do it, you're like, oh, okay. Now you let that go. May come up again. Do it again. Yeah. Do it as many times as you need to do it to let it go.
Or go for a run.
To release. Yeah. Do exercise. Go walk. I walk. I'm not walking fast. I can't walk the way that I used to. I can't go hiking. I can't do that. But I go out and walk to be in nature. I'm right near Griffith Park. It just reminds me of growing up in Rhode Island, just being in nature,
right?
You know, being in that environment, it brings me peace. It makes me feel, so you got to know what it is that rather than be on, so my opposite is anger. I need to be at peace. I feel myself getting angry. What is it that's causing my anger? How can I get more at peace? Somebody else, they feel, you know, bitter. You know, what is it that is going to bring you on the other side of that? Somebody else is getting like, you know, highly emotional. What is it that, you know, instead of, you're not satisfied. You're never feeling like, oh, that was good enough, or you're satisfied. What is it that you can respond to, that you can give yourself? Knowing yourself, what I value, what I believe in. What that allows me to be able to respond to things when an opportunity comes up. We talked about that before. I know my clients, here's the opportunity. Heart, are you in it? Mind, can you wrap yourself around it? Values, will you stand in front of me? And beliefs, will you carry me forward? It is only until you know yourself, when you sit down and you really get clear in these areas, that then you know what to respond to. Then you feel satisfied. Then you feel like, oh, okay, great. I did a good job. Next. Yep. Yeah. I don't feel bitter about that. I'm okay. I'm good with that. I don't feel angry about that. I feel at peace. Cool. And you go through like that when you start to know yourself on those levels. And so that's a deeper part of what I do, getting people to understand, because they're butting their heads. They're in resistance all the time. Oh, I understand myself. Oh, I've got harmony within. Makes a lot of sense. Makes things easier. Makes my life easier. There's a lot of uncertainties right now. The more that I can make my life easier, the better better environment I create for my body, less work to do, less work I need to give myself mentally, physically, emotionally, intellectually, socially, financially. When I know that, I can cruise through a lot easier. My life is easier. I sleep better. I make better choices. I don't have to think about what I'm eating. When I feel like having ice cream, I go buy, you know, a bar or whatever, I have it. And it's not like, oh, I shouldn't be eating this. And should and sorry, get them out of your vocabulary. Dude, just, you know, it's BS. I'm not sorry about anything. I own up to, because I'm self-leader, when I make a mistake, I'll admit it. When I'm being I don't know if I can say it, but, your butt, then I don't want to get in trouble. When I'm being that, okay, I was just a bit of and then that's it.
Yeah.
I know I'm self-leading. This is right now the place that you cannot point a finger. You cannot blame anybody anymore. No one is doing this for me, whatever. If you're by yourself or if you feel like that, join a group, get into positive enforcement, get into watch Lainey's show on a regular basis. Listen to the people that she's bringing in. She's holistic. She's got amazing energy. She's here doing this for a purpose. She's going to give you, you're going to hear something that all of a sudden is going to click. And when that happens, and that's what I needed, after the point of losing my sister, I went through, a few years of, I had to dig deep. I didn't know if I was going to get on the other side, but I was in my coaching program and I just got on the phone and I just listened to as many, it doesn't matter what the subject was. It was just the vibration of the positivity that I just got on the call. I'm feeling like this, whatever. Just, okay, this is the call. I'm just going to get on. It doesn't, and do it. That's the thing. It's the vibrational shift. You've got to know what your vibration is. So if anything, I'm helping people amplify that too, is getting to know their vibration. For law of attraction to kick in, you can do a mantra. I can say I'm great all day. But if I don't have the feeling of it, I don't have the knowing of it, it doesn't matter. But when I'm in the vibration of, I'm great. And I am. And I know it at this point in my life. Muhammad Ali, I said I was the greatest before I even knew it. It's true. You got to, like, we talk about them bones, like, get rid of the issues in the tissues so you can feel in your body, in your bones. I know this. I got it. That's what the greatest sports people, like, they know it. They have done, stood at the free throw line. When I was a kid, that's what I did. I needed my space to do whatever. I'd go out and I would, practice my free throw. That became, and then you can visualize it. There are all these kind of tricks that come in, and they're not tricks. It's actually is how your body and your mind function together. Mm-hmm. And the more that you can understand that and understand yourself.
Yeah.
Bueno.
Beautiful. Well, I can tell that we could talk for a long time, but I think I'm going to pull it to a close. But that was great information. So thank you for sharing. And thank you for doing what you do to help people.
Oh, thank you. It's it's part of my gig is find peace within myself so that then I can go out and give information and provide hope and inspiration. That's it, pretty much in a nutshell.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. It's been a wonderful experience. I'm very, very grateful.
Okay.